And he says in Ecclesiastes 8, verse 5, whoso keepeth the commandment, this is Ecclesiastes chapter 8, verse 5, whoso keepeth the commandment shall feel no evil thing. And of course, that we understand that. We've learned that a long time ago, that if we are a true believer, the nature of a true believer does what? He wants to keep the commandments of God. He has an intense desire to do the will of God, and he'll feel no evil thing. And so, what is that talking about? It's talking about, does that mean that I won't have any pain in my life? Does that mean that nobody can hurt me? Does that mean, and we know, no, that can't be it. That can't be it. But remember, we have to look for the spiritual meaning. And what is the evil thing that every human being should be fearing and is heading for if he doesn't doesn't become saved? The evil thing is the wrath of God. The wrath of God. And if we are true believers, that is, we are keeping the commandments, will not come under the wrath of God. This verse is introduced to us, that it's talking about Judgment Day. That is the nature of this statement, that it will feel no evil thing. And then it says, a wise man's heart will discern. That's really an interesting phrase when you think about it. A wise man's heart will discern. It's not our mind, or it's not something out there, some kind of an understanding. Somehow God will put it in our heart. And who changes our heart? Who changes our heart? God does. He is, because by nature, what is the nature of our heart? As unsaved people, we have wicked hearts. We have wicked hearts. And if we have become a wise man because something has happened in our heart, it means we become a child of God. In other words, the whole action is God's action. A wise man's heart will, and a wise man's heart discerneth. Now, the word discerneth is not really the best phrase, the best translation for this application. Because it's going to talk about time and judgment, but the subject of the verse is it's talking about a one who keeps the commandments, that is, one who is a child of God, will not feel any evil thing. And so it's talking about the wrath of God. It's talking about our relationship with God and the end of time. And actually this can be translated, and it would be more accurate to translate it in the context, and a wise man's heart will know both time and judgment. Now, we already know just from experience, looking at all the work of the theologians throughout the history of the church age, however wise, however diligent they have been, they were unable to understand, to come to the time of the end at all. Or, in fact, they couldn't unfold very much any of the timeline of history. It was only as late as 35 years ago that we finally were able to know the date, the year of the creation of the earth. And then slowly on, God opened more and more, and it's because God is giving that in our heart. We can know time and judgment. It was truly a very, very propitious, or very exciting, or a very I don't know quite the word to use, when finally we came to an exact understanding of the timeline, knowing that October 21, 2011 would be the final, ultimate end, the last day of the Feast of Tabernacles, because the time events of the world are tied into the various feast days. We learn that from Colossians, that they are a shadow of things to come. And at the same time, suddenly we had an enormous new understanding of all of God's judgment plan. Everything we'd ever learned before went out of the window very quickly. Time and judgment fit right together. All right, now, God is telling us, and while we're looking at this, I just want to make a remark about the next verse. Because to every purpose there is time and judgment. And then it says, therefore the misery. The word misery is a very poor translation. It would be better translated the wickedness, or the evil of man. The wickedness of man is let's see. Therefore the wickedness of man is great upon him, for he knoweth not that which shall be, for who can tell him when it shall be? You see what the fact is, how this ties in? Throughout the church age, God very carefully, we've looked at this again and again, very carefully had said you cannot know the times and the seasons. That's not for you to know during the church age. And what has happened in the churches? Have they gotten to be more and more faithful to the Word of God? The answer is no. No, very quickly they began to go astray from the Word of God, till finally it got so bad that God began to bring judgment upon them. And the wickedness of man today, mankind thinks that I don't have to worry about the end of the world or anything, and we see wickedness multiplying everywhere, just beyond. The wickedness of man is great upon him because he doesn't realize that there is a time. And that's one of the reasons when we come to this time in history, this is so repulsive, so negative, so upsetting to mankind. Well, this is one of the reasons, because look, I have my life to live, and I know that there's some things that if I were going to really analyze it, it's not going to be in accord with that holy book, the Bible. Come on, I don't have to be under that. I want to do my thing. But there we have it, that mankind did, throughout the history of the world, did not know time and judgment. And it's only because God has opened the book of Daniel to us, what he had written there, had sealed there, that now we know time and judgment. Now it's interesting, when we go into Matthew 24 and Mark 13, these passages, again, and it talks about the day and the hour. The day and the hour. You know, hour is a synonym for time. It's when I tell you it's 10 minutes after 11, we've tied that to an hour. If you ask me what time it was, I would say it's 10 minutes after 11. I'll give you the hour. But you're asking for the time. Time has everything to do with hour. And the day, it's always day and hour. Day and hour. If you go back to Matthew 24, look, for example, let's go back there a minute. In Matthew 24, verse 36, but of that day and hour knoweth no man. We look at verse 44, but if ye are also ready for in such an hour. Verse 42, watch therefore, ye know not what hour. Or again, it says in verse 50, the Lord of the servant shall come in a day when he looketh not for him, and in an hour that he is not aware of. Now, what is the word hour identified with? Time. You see how that